Greetings programs. Today's video has been claimed by Universal Studios. I will not be making any AdSense off of this essay. If you wish to support me and my channel, you can do so by leaving a tip in the tip jar down below. Link is in the description. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the essay. Let's begin with the obvious. Jaws: The Revenge is not a good film. Many decisions made are terrible, like the shark roaring, the plot being stupid, and being a rushed product. It's edited horrendously. However, the film has a few redeeming qualities, like the fresh, anxiety-inducing score by Michael Small, the tropical setting, and of course, the legendary Sir Michael Caine. But the film is a Jaws sequel. It'll never be as good as the original. So let's take what worked in 1975 and apply it to the best of my abilities with the footage we have from 1987. A project started in February 2018. This is my own cut, titled Jaws 4. Before we begin, I want to highlight big reasons why the Jaws sequels failed. 1. No real character progression / arcs or backstory that affected them. 2. No charm with the actors, really. There's tons of charisma in Jaws, from the top 3 stars to the middle supporting characters like Ellen, Vaughn, and Hendricks, even all the way to the bottom with the what guy. 3. Universal failed to take risks like in their original Jaws 2 and 3 screenplays, and when they did, like in Revenge, it was ill-advised. 4. Nearly all of them have the same formula of a shark attack being the catalyst for the story, and nothing new was created. 5. No good subplots. Do the Brodies want to move back to New York City in Jaws? How about the mayor and company threatening Brody because they think he's incompetent and politicking to pack their pockets with tourist money, all because it's summer? How about the working class versus the upper class and Quint versus Hooper? Jaws had it all. The rest, not so much. 6. Not one shot in Jaws isn't stylistic and or cinematic. No other sequel touches it. Every frame is interesting to the viewer's eye. The sequels aren't even close to Spielberg's magic touch. Lastly, 7. None of them had a really tight gripping screenplay. Jaws was very quick plotting with no room to breathe for the audience. The original had frequent attacks, meanwhile the sequels had kind of a lot of wasted scenes when they didn't have to be. Our main objectives for Jaws 4 are as follows. 1. We're going to be turning the film into a TV movie film. Anywhere from 60 to 75 minutes, and we're going to see if we can hit that mark or not. 2. We're going to remove all aspects of mysticism with Ellen and the shark hunting her and her family. 3. We're going to put an emphasis on PTSD and themes of loss, moving on, and overcoming your fears. 4. We're going to cut down the amount of times you see the shark. You see the monster a lot in this film, which is 100% opposite of the first one. So if you want to see more of the shark, you watch this original cut, or Jaws 3, or Jaws 2. What you don't see is scarier. Like most of the shark attacks in the film, the audience has never shown Chrissy's remains in Jaws, but Dreyfuss's acting is convincing enough without seeing everything because it's off screen. Let the mind work its magic. All of this taken into account, we will have Jaws 4 starting off with the funeral. Starting the story at the service means cutting the opening credits and the opening at Christmas with Sean's death. All very dark for a holiday season to begin with, let alone great whites usually don't go in nearly frozen waters, so it doesn't make sense. By making the decision of the funeral as the first scene, you really don't know whose service it is. Martin's? Sean's? The audience is intrigued and we aren't stuck in the same old shark movie format, which is the shark attack being the opening scene catalyst. Jaws 4 starts off more like a drama picture. It's later revealed in a line from Thea that it was her uncle Sean that passed. Since the funeral is behind Michael running on the beach in the original cut, the Michael Small score is included with the priest's voiceover in my new opening.
To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die.
There's nothing really I can do to unbake the cake, as they say, so it'll have to stay. This occasion happens in a couple places I have to work around. I wish I could let the edits breathe more a bit, but I cannot due to not having access to the dailies. I used the original non-cropped footage from the 1975 film of Sean and Martin and the flashbacks here, and also later in the film. I don't like the orange look, which I assume was to replicate the look of Super 8, so I threw on a black and white filter at 75% opacity. This makes the footage look more like a memory than a black and white dated view, and I think it looks fantastic. I choose my own frames for this flashback rather than the ones that were used in the original cut. Also, by having this flashback in the opening scene, we can now use flashbacks throughout the entire movie. Like the unwritten rule in Batman v Superman, where they use flashbacks in the opening credits, therefore opening the door to the audience on possible future usages and not confusing them by adding them in randomly throughout. I also cleaned up a shot where somebody bumps the tripod of a wide of the casket in the congregation. I also tried this with Ellen's shot prior, but it looks too artificially wobbly because she moves too much, so I didn't include it. The film then transitions with Ellen inside the house and Michael and his family arriving. I place a Jaws 4 legend on Ellen as she looks out to sea after the funeral. I think it looks fantastic. I'm going to be removing the "it came for him" line by Ellen, once again deleting all mystical elements. The scene ends with them hugging and reconciling. It's really hard to cut Ellen going crazy in the kitchen, but I did it. I stopped after Ellen said, "I don't want you ever going in the water again, ever." Then it's a cut to of Michael's face at the end of the scene in a static shot.
Come on, sit down, will you? We'll get dinner.
I don't
It's
want
all right.
anyone in my family anywhere near the water. Never again. Never.
Then I'm starting the next scene with Michael after him saying, "It's just a piece of wood." The line makes no sense if you cut Sean's funeral and the whole shark attack at the beginning, so you have to cut more references to his death via shark. I'm cutting the ferry scene. The only reason this exists is to show the log at the end, aka proof Sean was attacked by an animal. The cut I have is straight from Ellen saying yes to a vacation to the plane in the Bahamas. The picture moves quite fast in the beginning now. I would love to remove the dream sequences because I usually don't like them in films. However, they play into one of the main themes, which is facing your fears. It was present in the first movie, as Brody wasn't fond of water and he had to go out to sea to face his demons, literally and figuratively. Michael needs to get over what happened to him as a child, more on that later, and Ellen needs to get over the loss of her husband, her son, and the incoming death in her life. However, instead of fake nightmare scares, I'm going to use old footage from the original films for Ellen and Michael as flashbacks. The original Jaws revenge nightmare scenes were too jarring and off-putting for audiences, considering they look like real-time events rather than dreams. So for Ellen's scene here, we're gonna have some Jaws footage of Michael's attack and Ellen running over to him.
Pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Michael's in the pub.
Hurry up, get that done. Can't do a damn thing. Get that road, get the dying tangle up there. No, I'm doing it.
Hey, fellas! Fellas! Hold it your seat, take it there!
Tangle up there.
I'm going to delete the clip of the shark POV and music and just go from Michael and Ellen to Ellen and Thea building sandcastles. This clip is extremely edited down, removing when she looks out to sea knowing a shark is out there. We begin the scene as Hoagie shows up. Afterwards, I'm cutting down Ellen talking to Hoagie. It doesn't help to transition to the next scene of them flying, but by inference, it can work. I stop before Ellen says she's having nightmares. Cut to them flying together. Up next is the shark attack on the dock. I cut it down significantly. It is far scarier now that the shark is not seen as much, and it plays out pretty well with the music, considering it's chopped down quite a bit. I'm going to be removing 3 shots of Ellen in the festival, knowing that Michael is being attacked. This is how it plays out without it.
Oh yeah? How big?
music isn't perfect, but it's better than Ellen knowing. Unfortunately, the rest of the scene can't play out without her feeling something is wrong, but I feel like it works out okay. It could be a lot worse. And I'm going to be deleting Hoagie's line of, "Sharks come and go, Ellen," and let the scene play out.
I can't keep doing this.
And you promised me a drink!
Helen, give it up.
Then I trimmed down a few frames to save time when Hoagie drops off Ellen in the rain. And to shave some more seconds, I cut the intro of the transmitter scene of Michael asking where the other workers are, and just have a voiceover of him dancing with his mom as a transition into the next scene. For the next big shark attack, I removed a shot of the animal and only kept the shark POV shots. I'm not a big fan of them, but the original used them sparingly, so it's fair we use a small amount of them too, just not too many. I thought about removing the shot of Clarence chumming. The biggest problem is he looks unconcerned as he's surveying about, but he knows the direction of the shark because he just pointed out. So why wouldn't he be looking in that direction? However, it's too fast paced with his shot gone, so I'm keeping him in. I trimmed down the shark eating the bait, and I removed the shot of the shark with the tag in its skin as it swims away, ending the scene.
Michael! Our little island seems to agree with you.
I have my own little island.
I then removed a shot of the shark swimming away from Michael and Jake into Ellen talking about her kiss with Hoagie. For Michael's nightmare, I'm continuing to build upon the Face Your Fears theme with Ellen. I'm replacing the false shark attack with a flashback of Michael seeing the pond victim eaten and using once again the 75% opacity filter of the black and white. This PTSD gives reason as to why Michael goes back into the water. Next is the shark attacking Michael and chasing him into the shipwreck. I cut down when Michael sees the shark originally by one shot. The shark looks fake, therefore corny, so it's far better trimmed down.
Shit!
Next, I will cut down the shark chasing Michael inside the shipwreck. It's super scary that the shark did this. However, it's super silly the fact that the shark is so massive and can barely swim inside of it. So a lot of it unfortunately has to go. I did keep the one shot of it coming towards Michael because if you delete the shot, it's a double shot of Michael opening the door and it just doesn't work. I also cut down the shark breaking through the wall by deleting the shot of the shark prior with its nose protruding the barrier.
Going down. Bite sticks are no good, man. Going down, Oliver!
Here's something interesting I toyed with. Deleting the whole shark chasing Michael sequence actually works extremely well. Here's how it plays out. And here's an even shorter cut of it. I really like both these options because it's artsy, but for the time being, I'm going to keep the interior ship chase for the sake of more action. This is the most you'll see the shark until the climax. Also, random side note, the film is so horribly edited that there's 2 random frames of the boat spliced into the shark Michael chase. Don't know if anyone's seen that little Easter egg or error egg, but there it is. In just a quick analysis, the banana boat scene is fantastic in terms of plotting and bringing the characters all together in an accumulation. It's Carla's art reveal. Ellen is having such a good time with Hoagie and seemingly overcame her fears of the ocean. The shark almost eats Thea, but misses. And Michael is responsible for it all because he didn't tell anyone and failed to confront his own nightmares while swimming out without the sub. I wish I could somehow build this better in the edit and make it more epic, so here's my attempt. we're going to cut and splice 2/3 of Michael's scene into Carla's event. I thought about cutting the first shot of Michael swimming because it seems long, but the extra shot of him adds some dread to the audience, so I'm keeping it as is. I think this decision is a great addition to this fan edit and makes the movie a bit more dramatic, in my opinion.
Clarence, get up on that jack. Give us some lookout with them glasses, all right?
I hope the man knows what he's doing.
Yeah, well, he's doing what he's got to do, eh?
It is about art that I wish to speak today. To show the world what we all know right here on this beach, that it is better in the Bahamas.
I also cut down how much you see the shark here by a few frames. There's a shot of the shark drowning the woman. I trimmed up the shark's nose going back into the water and removed the woman flailing around. I thought about cutting the banana boat POV shot of the shark because it looks fake as it rises up in the ocean, but it's actually quite terrifying and I'm going to keep it. And honestly, the first full body shot of the shark before it strikes isn't too bad. But I cut it out just because you know it's coming anyway, and the close-up of its massive head is so shocking when it attacks that it makes it more terrifying. Then I color corrected a shot of the ocean with Ellen looking at the shark fin. It's too muted and not green teal enough to match the water of Ellen at the beach. I also tried throwing on a stabilizer to the shot, but it kind of makes the fin look worse / more fake, so I won't keep that in. Plus, it doesn't really do a great job of keeping the shot steady. So here comes the final showdown. We're going to be removing the shark roaring. Luckily, I have the original score, so I can remove all the shark roars and replace them with the music matched up to the original audio track. It doesn't have, tiny ocean wave ambience or EMP device sound effects, but it sounds pretty great considering. Have a look. People want to make fun of the shark roaring, but the shark did roar a small amount in the first film 3 different times.
Out of my way.
The shark in Jaws also roars a bit at the end when the carcass floats down towards the bottom of the ocean, even though it's blown to bits. Next for the climax is the flashbacks. I just removed them completely. It's not a great build-up compared to the slower original version of Ellen ramming the shark, but it's the best anyone could do considering. I'm going to use the alternate shark ending of him getting impaled versus exploding upon impact. The impaled is far more realistic. And so, does Jake die, or does he survive? Originally, I felt that Jake needed to die because he never let the shark go, fighting against a theme of the film. However, Jake is a fantastic friend who is willing to kill the shark for attacking his best buddy's daughter. When we are down, we really rely on friends and family to help us back up. By having Jake die sends the wrong message. By keeping him alive, doesn't. So, I'm going to keep the alternate death scene of the shark, but splice Jake back alive into the fold. My favorite part of Jaws the Revenge is the scene after the sub emerges without Michael inside it because he was attacked by the shark, and Jake cares so much for his friend that he's willing to risk his and his crew's life to save him. It also builds up fear by having a kind of a super short scene, and they cut it early on Jake's leadership. Last note, I tried to get a hold of Steve Clark of CKVFX, who redid a scene for Revenge with a far better CG shark replacement of the film's animatronic, but I couldn't reach him. If you're out there, Steve, hit me up. There's also a huge problem with the Climax looking fake. The cloudy matte painting and darker watercolor in the reshoots do not match up the clear Bahama sky and teal water shot on location. I'm not a professional colorist nor CG expert, so I cannot make any changes, and you'll just have to unsee it for now. And there it is. Jaws the Revenge runs 1:30:11. Jaws 4 runs 1:14:17. I did it! I made it under 75 minutes. It's not my best work because I don't have access to the dailies, but I would absolutely adore to be hired by Universal to edit or supervise a new version of this potentially decent sequel to one of Hollywood's most iconic franchises. Thank you everyone for watching. Godspeed.